cut that mic on. Give me a minute. Try to cut the mic on. We can hear the brother. Is it on? Everybody on? Get one for the reader too. I want you to have to switch up.
No, he's saying that we need to go higher because we're standing.
Plug them over
He's
there
like,
while
we
you
can't.
want me in my. Go ahead. Testing.
Wait, no, not that.
He can get one. Stand by, Leo. Stand by.
Okay, cool.
Thank God, Bishop Shaw. All right. Come on, get the time going, Deacon Passport, we're ready to run. Let us know when you want us to set the time again, brother. All right, they're gonna use the same mic.
I'm ready.
All right, you ready? All right, we gotta fix that. What's that? They just do that all the time? Or through the whole thing? You have to cut it off. We'll use that one. I don't want that to mess up.
Test.
Cut him up too. We wanna hear.
Test.
Cut that one off and cut that one up. Take the battery out, do whatever needed to get it going. Bishop Shaw, this is Brother Judah and Brother Jar from Hebrew Israelites. And they come to be with us. That's Bishop Shaw. It'll stop that once you cut that one off, right? Look like it did. Brother Brian, I got your message, man. What it sound like, D?
Good.
Cut him up some, D. Cut him up.
Test.
A little bit more. We want to hear it
Test.
good.
Test.
A little bit more. Let's make sure we get it. All right, okay, that's good. All right, D. You can pass through, we're gonna keep the time. Let's see. Oh, okay, we're ready. He got you. Okay.
All right. Okay, so like I was saying, it's very important as we go into the topic that we're going to be discussing, the identity of who we are. So I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 28, like you stated. I'm gonna go to verse 15 first.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Okay, so Moses is talking to the Israelites. Of most of y'all should know the history. they came from out of Egypt, crossing the Red Sea. So now he is giving the Israelites the laws that he got from God. So he told them, if you will not listen to these things I'm about to tell you, which was the laws, that curses are going to come upon you and overtake you. So that's what Moses just said. Now go to verse 40. I'm not going to go through all of them, because like most of y'all know it's a whole bunch of them. So we're just going to jump to like 3 or 4. Yeah, now get 41. Matter of fact, no, get 46.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 46. And they shall come upon thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So this verse is explaining, Moses saying that these curses, they're going to be upon the Israelites for a sign. Now we know sign is something that identifies something. Like when you see like a McDonald's, you know that when you go inside, you're going to get Big Macs, because that sign goes with that franchise. You won't see that M logo and go in there and they sell the Burger King stuff. So this sign is going to be on the children of Israel, because that's who he was talking to whenever they came out of Egypt. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Get one on.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel, and Laban and Hazeroth and Dishad.
So, like I said, this is Moses speaking to all Israel. Okay, now go back to that. Okay, so he's saying it's going to be a sign upon the Israelites. So they say, and upon thy seed forever. Because they when you go to verse 37, it's telling them they were going to lose their nationality. They was going to be called another name outside the name that he gave them. Because when we read the Bible, the Israelites was Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Zebulun, all these names. But what he was saying is you have to look at these curses to be able to identify who you are. And it said, and upon your seed forever. Read it one time.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So as long as you're generating, having kids, you will be able to look upon these signs. Now, go to 37 so we can prove what it just said.
Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment.
So he's telling the Israelites, yeah, you are going to become an astonishment. Like, astonishment is like an amazement. Like, when you look at a certain people, you're just amazed at their conditions, or their mind frame, the way they think, the way they act. That's an astonishment.
A proverb.
A proverb is like a wise saying, how they say, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in the book. Like, these Negroes are always late. Like these are proverbs, wise sayings. So he's saying that the children of Israel are going to become a proverb. Go ahead.
And a byword.
And a byword is something that's given, that's not given to you through God. It's like, if your name was Steve, but I always call you Tim, I'm calling you a byword because it's not your name. Go ahead.
And among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
Okay, now go to
Verse
verse 41.
41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
So it's going into like the slavery days, where we have sons and daughters that was given into another people, not our own people, but another people, and they were sold into captivity. Now go to 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
So it's saying the same thing. We say your sons and your daughters, they're going to be given to another people. Like we all see Roots, 12 years a slave. This is those moves, we are reading those attributes right now. Go ahead.
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
So just like we see the movies, like when a child was sold, the mom would cry, and it was nothing she could do about it. Go ahead.
And there shall be no might in thy hand.
So we're saying there'll be no might in your hand, no military might, no political might to get your kids back after they were sold to another set of people. Now give me 68.
Verse 68.
Matter of fact, give me 48.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger.
So in hunger, whenever we want something to eat, as far as like going to any place to get your food, or like Walmart, or like McDonald's, or any of the food distribution, the Israelites would not be in control of it. They would have to go to another people to get anything that involves food. Go ahead.
And in thirst.
And then thirst, like in water. This like we just read it before it says it'll be upon thy seed. So you can so this is a generation that's going to keep happening. So you can go back to slavery days, go back to now. Well, in hunger, you wasn't allowed to go get something to eat when you wanted it. You had to go to the taskmaster to get them. Just like today, we don't own the food distribution in this land or the water. Like water is a free commodity, but we have to pay for it. So it says in hunger and in thirst
And in nakedness.
and in nakedness, your clothes. If everybody look on the back of their tags, or their shirts gonna say made in China, made in USA. Our people don't make clothes. You might have some rappers or some people in the industry, they have their name on the clothes, but they don't have the raw textile. You still have to go to another nation. That's what the Bible said. Go ahead.
And in want of all things.
So water, anything you can think about, you're gonna have to go to another nation as far as ID, a marriage certificate. You want education, a death certificate. Even if you want to leave this country, you have to get a passport, which is like permission or a fishing license. So you want to, like anything you can think about, you have to go to another set of people to get it, because your people won't be able to supply it. And he meaning this same enemy who you have to go to for all that stuff, it says, and he
Shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
So that same enemy want to put a yoke of iron upon your neck. That's what we know about in 1619, which goes further back also, but just dealing with right now from 1619. Slavery, they put the yokes of iron upon our neck. Now let's go to 68.
Until he have destroyed thee.
So he said, they're going to put a yoke of iron upon you Israelites' necks until he have destroyed thee. So we know that we're still here, so it's not destroyed physically, it's mentally. Because now you've been destroyed because you're not calling yourself the names that he gave you. You go and buy those by words. You was broken, like wood, and all this type of stuff to be broken. That's how you break somebody. You take away their name, their heritage, their culture, and you give them theirs. So now it said that you will be broken to where you're not calling yourself Judah anymore. You're not calling yourself Benjamin. Now you call yourself, oh, I'm a black man, or I'm African American. These are the names that was put on us, but we can't find these names in the Bible. So that's the byword, and that's what said that he was going to take the yokes of iron off your neck until you have been destroyed. It's just like a dog. If you have a dog, you have him chained up, you walk him every time he get too far, you yank him. In the process of time, if anybody I know about dogs, in the process of time, you can take the leash off, and that dog will stand right there beside you, because he's been destroyed. It's the same exact thing. So it's that he's gonna take the yoke of iron on your neck until you got destroyed, until you're not calling yourself Israel anymore. You're not calling yourself Judah, Benjamin. Now you're calling yourself the names they put on us. Now let's go to 68 to bring it home.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So we know the state that the Israelites was in Egypt, right? Was the Israelites in the higher class or lower class in Egypt? Anybody know? Lower class, right? So they was actually in hard bondage, servitude. They were slaves. That's why Moses had to come to Pharaoh, let my people go. So, all right. So precept upon precept, we're gonna get that scripture in a second. Okay, so get with Egypt, because Egypt means two things in the Bible. It means the landmass, or it actually has a definition. The Bible explains itself. So we're gonna find out what Egypt means. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So Egypt is synonymous, meaning like a synonym for bondage. And we know another word for bondage is captivity or slavery. So that's why when Isaiah said precept upon precept, here a little and there a little. So you can get the full understanding of what he's saying, because if you read that verse on face value, you would think you're going back into Egypt. But when you read through the whole Bible, the Israelites never went back into Egypt as a whole. So it's a, it's like, it's synonymous for bondage or slavery or captivity. Go ahead. Now go back to the top.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt
Which is slavery.
again with ships. With ships.
With ships. If you look through any type of historical documents, anything, you only find that the so-called blacks and Hispanics went into slavery on slave ships and had yokes of iron upon their neck. They had their name changed. They had their kids sold to other people. So how we read that the signs will only be upon them people. So you can go Google anything and look at any type of research. These curses are only going to be on the Israelites, which prove that this happened to us. It's proof that we're the Israelites. So I had to go over that point because identity is very important of the point we're going to get to. So now go to Amos 3.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
So Moses said that the same way it's going to happen is the same way I see it, the same way it's going to happen.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
Meaning your homeland, you're not going to see it again as a people.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemy.
So when you get off those slave ships, you're going to be sold unto your enemy, not your friends.
For bondmen
For slave men.
and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Buy you, that is an old Quaker word for redeem or save. So it's saying nobody's going to save you. Like Malcolm X tried, Martin Luther King tried, Marcus Garvey tried. They tried to help their people out of their condition. But the Bible says no man shall be able to save you, because that's what Christ was going to come and do and lay the time to save from the curses. So, get that in Amos.
Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you,
Now this scripture is very important.
O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities.
So he said, so God says he brought the whole family, which is the whole 12 tribe of Israel, out of Egypt. So he says, out of all the families I've made on this earth, I only know you. So just because I know you, just like if anybody had a son, you told them come in the house before the lights get out, and they stayed out there. The lights came on and they came in late. You're not gonna go out there and whoop all the kids in the neighborhood. You're gonna whoop your son because he has the rules. Right. The other kids, they didn't have the rules, right? So you're not gonna punish them. So that's what he's saying. He said, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So now go to number 7 and 6. And this will be the last scripture.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people.
So he's talking to the Israelites, saying, you are a holy people. Holy people means separated and set apart.
Unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
What's that equal to?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So he said that if you listen to the commandments like I told you to do, I will put you above all people. Now, when you look at our condition, obviously we're not above all people. We are at the bottom of society. We have the worst education. We have broken homes. We have single-parent households. Our young men is filling the jail cells up. Black-on-black crime. Women getting pregnant at a young age and men not taking care of them. This stuff is written in our community. So that's why it said that he will put us above all people. But when we broke the commandments that he gave us, he put us in his conditions. It's just like everything that I just said, those are laws. As far as sleeping with a woman and not marrying her, that's against the law. That's how
I'm gonna get a tape on me, but somebody keep the time. Thank you, Brother Gyro. Brother Julie, my time started yet? We'll keep it up and down. Keep it up with it. You ready? All right. You want a chair? Give him one. Don't start again. Give him one. Give him one. So I won't be distracted. I want to look at these brothers. All right. Sit it there. Judith, thank you for coming. Now, thank you for your opening statement. We really appreciate it, but we didn't need that one, because we know who we are. And my reason for being here tonight and discussing this is that on my Facebook page, I was talking, and someone from the Hebrew Israelite asked me, was I a Christian, and started making certain statements. I'm here because I believe you're trying to keep the whole Mosaic law, which is not accurate according to the Bible. I'm here because you told me I couldn't eat pork chops and chitlins, that I had to go to church or worship on the Sabbath. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. You talked about slavery. This is the same country back in 1619 that had black people enslaved. We're in that same country, in the same government system, and yet, in some degrees, the same nation and same country does not apply the same laws. And many countries that exist have changes of laws and still exist as a nation. So it is with the nation of Israel. When Christ came, the same Israel nation had a change in some of the covenant teachings. You'll find that in Hebrews chapter 8. And you're trying to hold us to something that Jesus said is no longer in effect. Hebrews 8, chapter 6, verse, read it.
But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry.
He got something more excellent. Meaning, if he got something more excellent, it means there was something else that was in effect that's not as good as this new stuff he's going to put out. Amen. Read.
By how much also he is the mediator.
He is the mediator
of a better covenant.
Of a better covenant. So if it's better, you got to compare it to something. What are you comparing it to? The law of Moses. Because you can't have nothing better unless you got something that is worse. Read.
Which was established upon better promises.
You got some better promises. Read.
For if that first covenant
had been faultless. Read.
Then should no place have been sought for the second.
You got a first covenant and a second covenant. Get out of the first covenant, because the second covenant is better.
That's right.
He said he had something better. Read.
For finding fault with them.
For finding fault. Now, not only did he find fault with them, some of y'all like say, oh, he found fault with them. No, he found fault with them. And he found fault with the covenant. Find fault with them. Read.
He said,
Behold,
the day comes, saith the Lord, when I will make
a new covenant
with the house of Israel, and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant,
not according to that other covenant. Ain't but one covenant had with them. That was in the Old Testament. He said, the day comes, I'm making a new one. Now, are you in the new covenant or the old covenant? Because they say the new one is better than the old. Read.
That I made with their fathers.
Not the one that I made with their fathers.
In the day when I took them.
By
the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt.
That's the book. You're outdated. Give me Romans 10. 10th chapter, first verse.
Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record, they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness are going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. For Christ is the end of the law.
Christ is the end of the law. Now, I like to talk about that because what the Hebrew Israelites like to say, well, he said, I didn't come to do away with the law but fulfill it. Well, that's what fulfill means. When something is fulfilled, now it has been served. And I'll give you an example of that. Is Jesus ever going to be born again? He's never going to be born again. Why? I'll read over there in the book of Matthew chapter 1. First chapter, Matthew 22nd verse. Look what it says.
Now all this was
Now all this was done. All this was what?
done.
All this was done that it might be what?
Fulfilled.
So if Christ said he came to fulfill the law, it was done in those aspects of it. Now there is laws that exist. And some of those new laws do include some of those old laws. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. And just like in America, there are some laws here that were still back there in 1619 that are still in existence today. Some old laws are still there. But the law referring to a requirement to go to service or church on a Sabbath, that don't exist today. And you can show me nowhere in the Bible where Christ taught. Now listen to what I'm saying. Where Christ taught that you had to go to church on the Sabbath. Oh yeah, you can show me something that Jesus, he went to the synagogue. He didn't teach his disciples that's what you had to do. And we don't worship in the synagogue today. Jesus said, I come to build a church. So he went to the synagogue because that's wisdom. If you have church on Tuesday, and we have a debate tonight, and I invited you to come here on Tuesday. What would you look like showing up on Monday and you don't want nobody to be here? Jesus went to the synagogue on the Sabbath because that's where the people were going to be there. He didn't go there because it was his religious tradition. And you say Jesus went to the synagogue on the Sabbath, so that means we got to go on the Sabbath. He went to the pool on the Sabbath too. And he went in the cornfield on the Sabbath too. Why don't you make a doctrine out of those? Why don't you start teaching now, because he went there on the Sabbath, that now we should go to the pool, in the cornfield, into the synagogue on the Sabbath. Because he went those three places too. Now, the Bible clearly shows us, clearly in the Bible, that Jesus Christ came to fulfill the law. That's something I want you to think about. The covenant itself that God made with Abraham, the covenant that would make you a Hebrew, the very covenant that would make you a Hebrew, is in the book of Genesis chapter 17 and 11. Genesis 17 and 11. All right? Genesis 17 and 11, look what it says.
And you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin. And it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you.
So this is the covenant between me and you. This is what makes you a Hebrew Israelite. Not because you're born. Because Abraham was born, but he wasn't a Hebrew until he followed that covenant, got circumcised. So what makes you a Hebrew is because you're in the covenant. Now watch this. Go to Exodus chapter 12 and 44. That's what allowed them to be a part of the covenant.
But every man's servant that is brought for money,
Every man servant that's brought for money,
when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant.
Get verse 48.
And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised.
All right, you got to be circumcised. Leviticus 12 and 3. Read. The last scripture was Exodus 12, 44 through 48. Leviticus 12 and 3. Read what it says.
And the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
So you got to circumcise your son on the 8th day. Now Jesus said he wanted to show them how the law had an imperfection in it. And he said, you know what? Now there's a law that on the 8th day you're supposed to circumcise your son. But what if the circumcision end up being on the Sabbath day? What you do, because you're going to have to break one.
Yes, sir.
You got to break one. Go to John chapter 7 and 22. Because you got to circumcise them on the Sabbath day, but you can't work on the Sabbath day. So Jesus, I'm going to show you the imperfection, how you can't keep it. Listen to John chapter 7 and 22. John 7 and 22.
Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision.
Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision.
Not because it is of Moses.
Not because it's of Moses.
But of the Father.
But of the Father.
And ye on the Sabbath day.
And you on the Sabbath day.
Circumcise a man.
Circumcise a man. So if that man now has been told by God you got to be circumcised on the 8th day, but the 8th day fall on the Sabbath, what you do? If you're circumcising, you're breaking the Sabbath. If you don't, you're breaking the circumcision law. And then John, in John chapter 5 and 43. John chapter 5, brother, and 18. John 5 and 18. The Pharisees didn't say this. John is the narrator of this book. John is narrating. He's not saying the Pharisees saying this. And John 5 and 18, look what it says.
Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him.
The Jews sought the more to kill him.
Because he not only had
broken the Sabbath, and that ain't what John said. That ain't what the Pharisees said. John, the narrator of the book, is writing this. He not only had broken the Sabbath, come on,
but said also that God was his Father.
He said he broke the Sabbath. John said he broke the Sabbath. That's what the book said. He broke the Sabbath. Y'all trying to fix it. You can't fix what Jesus broke. He broke it. He broke it. John said he broke it, not the Pharisees. John said he broke the Sabbath. Not only did he break the Sabbath, he let somebody else break it because he told a man to rise and take up your bed and walk. Here is Jesus got a man walking through town with a bed on his head. Now he's going to say the Pharisees said that, but that ain't what the Bible says. John is narrating. And John said the Jews sought the more to kill him. Not, good God Almighty. Yes. Because they said, John said, as he's writing, he said, John wrote it very clear, because not only had he broken the Sabbath, and he did break it. He did break it. Now you want to put this thing out, like the Sabbath says that you're supposed to go to church, or you're supposed to go to the synagogue, or supposed to go to wherever you go. But I want to show you something. According to the Bible, if you're keeping the Sabbath, you ain't got no business even going outside of your house. You're not even supposed to leave your house on the Sabbath day. Exodus chapter 16, 29. 16 and 29.
2 minutes.
16, 29, you're not even supposed to go outside the house. You're talking about going to the synagogue. Exodus 16, 29, look what it says.
See,
For that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath.
The Lord has given you the Sabbath.
Therefore he giveth you
And therefore he given you
on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place.
Everybody stay in his house on the Sabbath day. Don't go outside the house, stay in your house on the Sabbath day. But you telling me I need to go to the place of work because the Sabbath day was a day of rest, not the day of worship. Don't let nobody go out of his house on the Sabbath day. Now you violating when you're going over there wherever you're going. You won't tell me I'm violating because I ain't where you at. But you violated because you ain't supposed to even be outside your house on the Sabbath. More or less going to some synagogue. What time is it? Huh?
50 seconds.
I'm done. Same thing, we got 30 minutes on this topic, prove a point. Let him get the time. No, yes, discussion.
Okay, so we're gonna get the I actually heard that doctrine before, for the Exodus thing. But Exodus 16, we're gonna start I want to read the whole chapter. We're gonna go back to 16, but we're gonna kind of I want to read the whole chapter because it's gonna take up most of my time. But we're gonna start at let's start at verse 17. We'll have to jump around a couple. So we're gonna start from the bottom of the stuff we'll talk about and go back up and deal with each thing you said. So start at what I said, 17.
Yeah.
So this is the wilderness when God gave Moses and the children of Israel the quails to eat. He gave them specific instructions because he was trying to show them how to do the Sabbath. So start as go to verse 18.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 18. And when they did meet,
Start at verse 17, I'm sorry.
17, verse 17, and the children of Israel did so, and gathered some more, some less.
Because they was told, gather as much as your house can hold. So if you had a family of 5, you wouldn't gather as much as him with a family of 2.
And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, let no man leave of it till the morning.
He said, don't leave none left. Go ahead.
Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses.
Those rebellious, they didn't listen. Go ahead.
But some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms
So it had worms.
and stank. And Moses was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted.
So the stuff melted. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that on the 6th day,
So according to the Sabbath, it's 6 days you do your work. 6 days you do your work, right? 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, no working.
and it came to pass that on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread.
Because you're not supposed to, matter of fact, get that 35 and 3. That's 35 and 3. It's the reason why he told them to gather twice as much. Because according to how to keep the Sabbath, there's no cooking on the Sabbath. So what he wanted them to do was get 2 loaves for 6 days would be Friday. So you get twice as much on Friday. So when Saturday came, you have to say I was hungry, that I have to go out and get something to eat. So that's why I say get twice as much on Friday. So Saturday come.
Exodus chapter 35, verse 3. And ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitation upon the Sabbath day.
Because in these days they didn't have microwaves and stoves, so they had to kindle the fire to warm their food up. So you're not supposed to be cooking on the Sabbath. So that's why he's telling them to gather twice as much, so you won't have to be cooking on the Sabbath. So read that again.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 22. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread.
One for Friday and have some left over for Saturday. So they have to break the law and cook.
2 omers for 1 man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, This is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord.
This part right here.
Bake that which ye shall bake today, and see that ye will see, and that which remaineth.
See goes into boiling. Go ahead.
And that which ye remaineth over lay up for you to be kept until the morning.
So he said the same thing I just said. He said, get twice as much on the 6th day, because tomorrow is the holy Sabbath. There's no cooking. There's no. Is that why he said bake what you're going to bake today? Because to bake it requires the heat, and boiling it requires the heat. So it says bake what you're going to do today, so it can be left out for tomorrow.
And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein.
So now go to verse 25.
Verse 25. And Moses said, Eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field.
So they had to go out in the field to get it. Now we go jump to 29 because we got the context of the conversation. Now go to 29.
Verse 29. See, for that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore he giveth you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days.
That's why he said this. Go ahead.
Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day.
To go and gather more food. That's what he's talking about. That's why he gave you the whole example of bake it now. Because how we read in 25, it's not going to be none in the field. So nobody go out and get it, because I just gave you basic instructions. Get double for today, so you don't have to go do it on the Sabbath day. That's all that's saying. If you go up and read it all the way, actually if I read the whole chapter, it took too long, but he's giving the basic instructions on how to keep it, because it just came out of Egypt. They wasn't keeping this stuff. So he had to teach them little by little so they can get it in their heads. So he said, get double. So now we go, now we'll go to John 8. Go with John 5. You said John 5, 18. Okay, 5 and started 14. This is Christ healing a man on the Sabbath.
John chapter 5, verse 14. Afterward, Jesus findeth him in the temple, and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more.
He told me to do it.
Sin no more.
He said, sin no more. I'm going to digress for 1 second. Give me that, John. He said, sin no more. Do anybody know what sin means? According to the Bible?
Nobody?
Do? 1 John 5.
1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin
So whoever commits sin, do it.
transgresseth also the law.
Transgress is another word for break. Go ahead.
For sin is
What sin is, this is the definition.
the transgression of the law.
So sin is the transgression of the law. So you put precept upon precept. Let's go back to John. So let's put in context of what he was telling him.
John chapter 5, verse 14. Afterward, Jesus findeth him in the temple, and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more,
Don't break my laws no more. That's what he said.
Go ahead.
lest a worse thing come unto thee.
Because everybody, okay, so what is the wages of sin? Death. No, unless the worst thing come upon you.
Go ahead.
The men departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. And therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus.
Who did it?
The Jews
Go ahead.
persecute Jesus and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day.
Go ahead.
But Jesus answered them, My Father worketh hitherto, and I work.
So Christ is telling them, I'm doing my Father's work. We can read it. There's another precept. Even in Luke 2, he told his parents about my Father's business.
Luke 2 or something.
Verse 48.
Luke chapter 2, verse 48.
Because Christ's parents, they couldn't find him. He was teaching older people and other people. So when they finally found him, they would ask him, hey, where you been? And this is what he said.
And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my Father's business?
So that's what he was saying. I'm doing my Father's work. So now go back to that. And read that same verse again.
John chapter 5 and verse 17. But Jesus answered them, my Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God.
Okay, so they were saying that he broke the Sabbath. The Sabbath, as if you know the scriptures, was no buying or selling, no cooking on the and no work. And it's a holy convocation. So what they was accusing him of was working. Going and working. Go to give me get John 12. John 12 and 12. Matter of fact, let's get Luke 13 and 14. Dang, that's all the scriptures in my head. Hold that. Hold the Luke 13 and get Matthew 15 and 3.
Matthew chapter 15 and verse 3. But
Start at verse 2.
verse 2.
Verse 1.
Verse 1. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders?
So he said, why do you transgress the tradition of the elders? Not of God, but of the elders, because they had their own tradition.
For they wash not their hands when they eat bread.
There is no law in the Bible that they say you have to wash your hands. So it was a tradition of the elders. This is very important.
But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
So he's saying, why do you break God's commandments for your tradition? So that's very important. I'm going to go back to why in John 5 they say that Christ broke the Sabbath. Now give me that Luke 13. This is why they say that.
Luke chapter 13, verse 14. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day.
What?
Healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work. In them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day.
So one of their traditions was healing was a sign of work, but it wasn't in the Bible. It was their own traditions. That's why he was always getting on them, because they was making their own traditions. They were putting over the commandments. That's why I had to go to Matthew 15 and 3. So when he was accused of breaking the Sabbath in John 5, like he read, they was going into their own tradition, because you won't find it nowhere in the Bible. That's why I went to Luke, how he said about my Father's business. And I turned up a couple of times in John 5, he said, my Father worked, I work it too. Now give me that John 12. 12. You might have to start up a little bit higher. Get it. Let's see. No. I think it's Matthew 12, sorry. 12. Yeah. Matter of fact, go ahead.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 12. How much then is a man?
Verse 10.
Verse 10. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath days? That they might accuse him.
So they was trying to trap him up in his word. So he said, so they came and said, hey, is it okay to heal on the Sabbath day? Because they was trying to accuse him.
And he said unto them, what man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out?
So, if today, if something happened to, how can you break the, okay, as far as working, let's say, your house, what things called with the ground, no, the mud things with the house.
Foundation.
Sinkholes. Now, if your house got hit by a sinkhole on the Sabbath day because it's not working, and it started collapsing your son in there, you have to work to get him. Are you not going to get him? You're going to get him, right? Read again. Verse 12 again.
How much then is a man, verse 11. And he said unto them, what man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out?
You're being rhetorical. Like, aren't you going to get it out even if it's on Saturday?
How much then is a man better than a sheep?
So I mean, if you don't, like, you know better than a sheep. Go ahead.
Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days.
So it's well to do, it's lawful to do well on the Sabbath day. Prime example, when it came to the priesthood, the holy temple had to be clean. It was so much blood in there from the animal sacrifice, right? You couldn't leave the temple like that on the Sabbath day. You had to clean it up. That's considered work. We're going to prove that. What that is, matter of fact, verse 1, 12 verse 1. Yeah, no, we're still the same place.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 1. At that time Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were hungered and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat.
To do what?
And to eat.
So he was doing this just to eat. He wasn't working.
But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful upon the Sabbath day.
So they are trying to trip him up because they did not like Christ, as we all know. You got that precept in Deuteronomy? 23 and 25. So let's find out why he said that. That's why it's supposed to be precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. 23 and 25. So we know that Christ didn't sin, right? We all know that, right? That's why he was made perfect.
Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 25.
Now remember, he was plucking the ears of corn.
When thou comest into the standing corn of thy neighbor, then thou mayest pluck the ears with thine hand, but thou shalt not move a sickle unto thy neighbor's standing corn.
That's going into work or it's going into taking more than what you need. If you're about to die and you're hungry on the Sabbath day, you could take some corn off of your neighbor's corn ears because you starving. Go ahead.
You also gave an example of what they did.
I know.
But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said unto them, have ye not read what David did when he was a hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of God and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat.
So David did something that, according to the scriptures, he wasn't supposed to do because it was only for the Levite priests of a certain lineage. But he was running from Saul, if y'all remember that history. So he ran in there and he was asking for the showbread, and they gave it to him, and he was still counted blameless for it. What's going to say?
Neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests.
It was only for the priests, right?
Or have ye not read in the law how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profaned the Sabbath?
They profaned it by cleaning up their blood on the Sabbath. Because another law was you couldn't keep the temple dirty with all that blood. So now let's jump back this 12 and 12. Yeah, read that too.
And are blameless.
And they remained blameless. Like it wasn't sin on them for doing that, because the law was you couldn't keep you couldn't leave the temple in that type of disarray. So now let's go back to verse 12. Same chapter.
Matthew 12, verse 12. How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days.
So that's what we get on there. So Christ did not break the Sabbath. He was accused of breaking it because of the Pharisees' traditions. It was the precepts we just lined up. So now we're gonna go to, you made a statement, I wrote it down, you say, when, you said that he was teaching the synagogues, but it wasn't. Okay, you made a statement, you say, that Christ didn't teach on the synagogue because of his religious tradition. You say he did it because that's where the people was at. Luke 4:16.
Luke chapter 4, verse 16.
Verse 15 start.
Verse 15. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all.
Talk about Christ.
And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was,
As his what?
custom was,
That's his what?
as his custom was,
That's just like a tradition. As his custom was, what he do?
he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day.
When?
On the Sabbath day, and stood up for to read. And there,
Jump to verse 31.
verse 31,
Matter of fact, start at 29.
verse 29, and rose up and thrust him out of the city, and led him unto the brow of the hill whereon their city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. But he passed through the midst of them, then went his way, and came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and taught them on the Sabbath days.
So that was Christ's customs. Why was it his custom? Exodus 31:16. Do anybody got a phone where they can Google this word for me? Huh? What word?
Exodus chapter 31, verse 16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generation, for a perpetual covenant.
The word perpetual. Can you look it up for me, please?
Perpetual. Never ending or changing.
What are some synonyms?
Unending, endless, lasting, long lasting, eternal, never ending, constant, abiding, enduring, constant.
Okay, so read that again.
Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant.
A never-ending covenant.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever.
How long?
Forever.
Nah, just to the New Testament.
Forever.
All right. Okay, now. 10 minutes. 4 minutes.
6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay, now go. Let me get that. So I'm gonna go back up. Romans 10. I don't remember what's part I just wrote it down. I gotta look at it.
Verse 1.
Okay. Now,
1, 2, and 3.
you did 4-2. Start at 2. Matter of fact, no, let's go to 4. Let's get to the 4.
Okay. Romans chapter 10, verse 4. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth.
So, whenever we hear the word law, we think of just law in general. In the Bible, the laws are broken into 5 groups. You have the dietary law, which is how you eat. You have the ceremonial law, which is the holy days he gave us to worship. You got the civil laws, how you deal with together, the moral laws, and the sacrificial law. So, He said, read it again.
Verse 4. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth.
So the end of the law. Give me Acts 13. Acts 13. Yep, 13. So let's find out what's the end of the law.
Acts chapter 13, verse 38. But he whom God raised again saw no corruption. Oh, that's
13. 30.
Verse 38. Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins.
So we're talking about Christ, right?
And by him all that believe are justified from all things, from which,
The point right here.
From-
from what?
from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses.
Okay, so that's very important. So he said we cannot be just, he said that we are preached forgiveness of sin from the law, for the things that we couldn't be justified through the law of Moses. So, in the first 5 books, what was the penalty for adultery? What is it? Get stoned. What about witchcraft? Death. Right? Okay. So what Christ came to do, he made you justified. Now, because in the Old Testament you couldn't there was no repent, I'm sorry, forgive me. You was put to death. Now through Christ, it's the end of that sacrificial law, because that was the sacrifices. Give me that in Hebrews 10 real quick. We got a few minutes. So Christ gave us justification on what we could get justified through Moses. Because Moses, there was no justification for adultery. You just had to die. Or witchcraft, or homosexuality. You had to be put to death. But through Christ, now you can ask for forgiveness and repent. Turn away. Go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 10, verse 1. For the law having a
So the same word, law, right? So it's going to show you what law is talking about.
for the law having a shadow of good things to come,
Shadow means something that's coming next.
and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices,
But those what? So now we're talking about a sacrifice. It just said it. Go ahead.
which they offered year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect.
So the sacrifice we did year by year, that couldn't make us perfect. Why? Because we're supposed to do it once and then stop. But we kept doing it year by year, so it couldn't make us perfect. That's why Christ had to come. That's why he was the sacrificial lamb. That's why they called him that. Now jump to verse 4.
Verse 4. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins.
So that's how we got forgiveness of sin. We got justified through the blameless lamb or the turtle doves. But now he's saying what? Say it again.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins.
Go ahead.
Wherefore, when he cometh,
Talking about Christ.
when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not.
So it means you're not going to, when I come into the world, I'm going to be a sacrifice. You're not going to do that anymore. That's going to be done away. That's the law it's talking about. But it's going to prove it more.
But a body hast thou prepared me.
The body is sacrificial lamb.
In burnt offerings and sacrifice for sin thou hast had no pleasure.
Go ahead.
Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me, to do thy will, O God. Above, when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offering and offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither has pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
Which are offered, these were offered by the law. So we know that the wages of sin is death. We know that sin, which is proved, is breaking God's commandments. So if there's no sin, there's no repentance. It's like not having no speed limit signs, but you're still getting tickets. It doesn't make sense. There has to be some type of form of law in order for you to get punished for it. How can the wages of sin be death if there's no law? The law is talking about is animal sacrifice, because we couldn't keep that perfect, especially going into slavery where we didn't have any possessions to do it. So Christ knew what he was doing, so he gave us that. So now we can come back to him, which in the last days.
First, I want to correct something that you said. You said that when Jesus healed the sick, he didn't work because healing was not considered work. Y'all remember he said that. John chapter 9 and 1. Now this is before Jesus healed the blind man, so if we can prove that Jesus worked, then we know that then he didn't keep the Sabbath. Because according to the book of Exodus chapter 20, get Exodus 20 first. I want you to get Exodus 20, and what 10 say.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work.
You shall do what?
Not do any work.
Now you said healing was no work. John 9 and 1, read.
And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth.
That's blind for his birth.
And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?
How can it work? He blind. Who sinned? Read.
Jesus answered, Neither had this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work
the work. Healing was considered a work. You said it wasn't. So now you said it very clearly. You said, now I want no work. That was a tradition. They had made that up. They said it wasn't work, but the Bible said, he said, I must work. And y'all heard him say it, didn't you? Did he say it? You said it. They can't take it back now. It's on the video. You said it. And Christ said he worked. What does it work? Read.
Of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken. Now, if this then is, if Christ can't sin, and this is still a sin according to what you said, then Christ sinned. Because if the Sabbath is to work on it as a sin, and Christ said, I'm working on it, did Christ sin? Got two questions to answer. Either Christ sinned, or the Sabbath is no longer a sin. And you got to pick which one you want. All right? John, go to that 14th verse. 14th verse. And it was the Sabbath day.
It was the Sabbath day.
When Jesus made the claim.
Then Jesus got the man healed. It was the Sabbath day. So therefore it is very clear that Jesus worked on the Sabbath day. So did Jesus sin? Or the Sabbath must not have no power as it was then. Now let's go over to the book of Exodus. Because now you went over to Exodus, and the Bible didn't just what it said, don't go out your house. Don't go out your house. Don't leave out. You said that meant don't go out in the field. Well, if I could show you now, Jesus said don't go out and get no food on the Sabbath, right? Look at Exodus 16. And that was not quail. You said it was quail. You said it was quail. That ain't what it was out there getting. Yeah, he said, well, we can rewind it back. I got a good memory. You said quail. 31st verse, 16:31. Look what it says, 16:31. This is what it was. Read.
And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna.
They called it manna. It was manna. I want you to see that. That's important. I want you to see it was manna. And you know what manna was made out of? Manna was made out of corn. Go to the book of Psalms 7, 8, and 24. Manna was made out of corn. 7, 8, and 24 Psalms. What is that?
And had rained down manna upon them to eat. and had given them of the corn of heaven.
So the manna that was made was corn. Now you got that? Now, this is what they was eating in the 16th chapter, corn, manna. So the manna is corn. Now go on back over to Exodus chapter 16 and look what he said. 16 and 25. Watch it real good. What he said?
And Moses said, eat that today.
Eat that today.
For today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field.
You ain't gonna find it in the field.
6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass.
Don't go out there and get no corn on the Sabbath day. That's what the manna was. It was corn. Don't go get it on the Sabbath day. Now, Jesus, that's right, the manna was made of corn. That's what he said. Now, Jesus, in Matthew chapter 12, Matthew the 12th chapter, Moses, the Lord said, you don't go out and get no corn on the Sabbath day. Don't go get none. He said particularly, now, let me tell you this. Jesus was a smart Jesus.
Yes, sir.
And he knew the Sabbath day was coming. And if he knew the Sabbath day was coming, and he's trying to keep that, he'd have kept him some food on the 6th day like Moses said.
Yes.
If he's keeping this thing, why would he keep it? If Jesus knows Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Moses said, get your food on Friday, why Jesus have a lunch back Friday? If he kept it, he would have had his lunch back Friday. He didn't have it back Friday. And he particularly wanted them to know that I'm going to do, because Moses said, don't go in the cornfield, don't get the corn. Well, what are you finna get? Get Matthew 12 and 1, read.
At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day to the corn.
He went in the corn. Just that verse tells you he violated it. Because he went in the Sabbath day to get corn, and he wasn't supposed to be going out there. He supposed to have a lunch pack. Why is he grocery shopping on the Sabbath? If he was keeping it like you said he was keeping it, he'd have had his lunch together. Yes. That's what Moses told him to do. About like that Family Feud on the second X now. Because the first one you say he didn't work, it proved that to be false, because he worked. The second one you just said, y'all following me now, right?
Yes, sir.
That he kept the Sabbath, and then you said in order to keep the Sabbath, you're supposed to have your food ready on the 6th day. Why didn't Jesus have his food ready on that 6th day? That's the $1 million question. Why wasn't the food ready? He observed it like you say. He's so deep in it like you say. Where is the sandwich? Where is the bologna sandwich? Where is something? I mean, where is that? Nothing. Nothing. So part of keeping the Sabbath was to have your food ready on the 6th. And if the food wasn't ready on the 6th, he wasn't keeping it. You know why he wasn't keeping it? Because the Sabbath day really means rest. That's what it means. It don't mean going having no Bible discussion. It's rest. Jesus had taught his disciples what the true rest was. It wasn't in no day. Look at Matthew chapter 11 and 28. That's why he did that. Look at Matthew 11 and 28. He's teaching them now what the true rest is. Matthew 11 and 28. Look what he says.
Come unto me.
Come unto me.
All ye
that labor
and are
heavy laden,
and
I'll give you rest. So yes, the rest is everlasting because Jesus is everlasting. Yes, the rest is never ending because Jesus is never ending. So because he never ends, he's the rest, he's the Sabbath. When I get in him, who does not end, that's the Sabbath. So he told his disciples, he just says, y'all come to me, I'm the rest. The rest is in me now. So now that the rest is in him, y'all have to remember that other rest because I am the rest. The rest is holy. He said, be holy, for I'm holy. So where's the rest? Read 11 and 28, read what it says.
And I will give you rest.
I will give you rest.
Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart. And ye shall find rest.
And ye shall find rest. Wait, if you're trying to find rest, must not be in the rest that you already thought was the rest. You're going to find rest. They had the Sabbath. They thought they had rest. He said, but you're going to find rest. You know, the rest is in me.
Yes, sir.
Now, the problem is this. Jesus said that his body was the temple. That was the temple. And you're going to a physical building, entering that to get rest. Jesus said, I'm the temple. That's why I say 3 days to destroy this temple, I'll build it up again. So you're trying to go in a physical temple to get rest, and the physical Sabbath was to be an example of Christ. That's why Christ fulfilled it. So what you're saying, what the Jews did, they tried to come later and add something to go to a synagogue on a Sabbath on their own. So the Jews go in the Sabbath, and that was fulfilled in Christ, because now, just like they went in that physical building on the Sabbath, on the Sabbath day, to stop working, you got works that you commit. That's why the Bible calls them the works of the flesh. Fornication, adultery, all those are works of the flesh. But then when you get in Christ, you rest from them. So now once you enter into Christ, you are in your rest. So those Sabbath days that they had physically was an example of Christ, the rest spiritually.
Yes.
So just like they thought they was entering into the synagogue to get rest, Christ said, I'm the temple now. Enter into me and get rest. And what works do you stop doing? You stop fornicating. You stop committing adultery, because those are the works of the flesh.
Yeah.
So that's how he fulfilled it. Just like he fulfilled the law of the Lamb and he was crucified, he fulfilled the law of the Sabbath. Because once you go in Christ, who is the temple, you rest. You cease from your work. What are the works? Go to the book of Galatians chapter 5. Galatians, the 5th chapter. Galatians 5 and 19.
Now the works of the flesh
Now the works of the flesh
are manifest.
are manifest.
Which are these?
These.
Adultery,
Fornication.
uncleanness.
Those are the works of the flesh. So when you enter into Christ, you stop working. You enter into rest. You don't commit for. That's what it means they're fulfilled. So now, instead of you going in some building, talking about resting on Sabbath, get in Christ so you can get the true rest. We're in our Sabbath.
Wow.
And it is everlasting, because they ain't planning on getting out of it. Amen. I'm in the book. Amen. Go with me quickly. Matthew chapter 1 and 21. My mama had me doing something that was a custom when I was young. Going down to some Christmas tree and singing, "Here Comes Christmas Tree," that was a custom. "Here Come Peter Cottontail," that was a custom. It don't mean the custom was right. It was a custom that was set where the people came. Now notice what Jesus said, because you showed me where he went in the synagogue. And I want to show you something. Get me Mark chapter 1 and 21. Mark 1 and 21. Look at Mark 1 and 21. All right, look at it real good. Mark 1 and 21. This is what it said.
And they went unto Capernaum. And straightway, on the Sabbath day, he entered into the synagogue and taught.
All right, that's synagogue and talk. Get verse 23.
And there was in their
And there
synagogue.
was whose synagogue?
Yes.
There. Not his. Their synagogue. What? It ain't yours. I thought you God. It's their synagogue. Matthew chapter 12 and 9. Matthew 12 and 9.
And when he was departed thence, he went into their synagogue.
Their synagogue. Not his, theirs. Matthew 13:54.
And when he was coming to his own country, he taught them in their synagogue.
So whatever synagogue it was in their own country, it was theirs. But now Matthew chapter 16, here's what he said in Matthew 16. and 18. Look what he got. Matthew 16, 18. Read.
And I say also unto thee,
Uh-huh.
that thou art Peter,
Uh-huh.
and upon this rock
Uh-huh.
I will build my church.
The church, he said, is mine, but the synagogue is theirs. Now find me where Jesus went to the church on the Sabbath. Because the synagogue was theirs. The church, he said, is mine.
Yes.
I'm going to be of my church, but it's their synagogue. Y'all need to get out the synagogue and get in the church. Because that's what Jesus built. Get out the synagogue. You need to come on over here, brother. Get out the synagogue and get on in the church. Upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. He said their synagogue, their synagogue. Now, that's Bible. That's Bible.
Yes.
Get me. Now, all I want you to show me is where the synagogue and where Jesus was in the church on the Sabbath. I can show you this. I can show you what the disciples was in Acts chapter 20. Acts 27. Read it.
And upon the first day of the week,
And upon the first day of the week,
when the disciples came together
when
to
the
break
disciples came together to do what?
bread, break bread,
Now, I want to make sure that we got this clear. I want to make sure we got this clear. The Sabbath was for rest, not for worship. And that's what we're mixing it up. We're trying to make the Sabbath for worship, and the Sabbath is for rest. They were in, I read, they were in their synagogue. We look now in Acts chapter 20, and upon the first day of the week, when what?
the disciples came together to break
When the
bread.
disciples came together to break bread.
Paul preached unto them.
Paul preached unto them on the first day of the week when the disciples came together to break bread. It's the first day of the week, and Paul is doing some teaching. He's preaching. Now, this is what he said. He says that because Jesus is seen in the synagogue on the Sabbath, that we can establish the doctrine now that everybody got to go to the synagogue on the Sabbath. Well, we can say that because Paul is seen preaching on the first day, then everybody got to go on the first day. Because Paul never said you got to go here on no first day of the week, and Jesus never said you got to go here on the Sabbath. He just was there. So now can we establish the fact because Paul is teaching and preaching on the Sabbath day, now we can say that on the first day of the week, that we can establish. Now I asked you to show me one scripture where Jesus said that you must go to the church on the Sabbath day. You can show me where he went, but you can't show me where he told us to go. He walked on water. Did he tell you to do it? So because he did it, now that means we need to do it. I want you to do something for me, brother. Turn that water to wine. He did it. So now you said everything because Jesus did it, now that becomes a doctrine that we got to do it. Fix us some wine for communion next week. You can't make a law out of something because Jesus did it and say, now this becomes law. Paul went on a Sunday. Jesus went on a Saturday, on a Sabbath. But he didn't tell us. Nowhere, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. No, but I tell you what he did tell us. Told you not to let you come in here and judge us because of it. He didn't tell you that. Right? Colossians. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 16, what it say?
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days.
Now, what he's going to do, he's going to say, well, that was the high Sabbath. That was another type of Sabbath, but he got an S on it. He ain't got one that cover both of them. So now you say you was waiting on it? Well, I brought it to you. He didn't say Sabbath, he said, look at it, read it.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days.
Of the Sabbath day. So that would cover both of them, all of them. That kills that right there. You was waiting on me and I came. It's book, Bible, scripture. Can you all go with it? John 5. How many more minutes I got?
9 minutes.
How many?
9 minutes.
John 5. Read it.
Verse 1.
After
this, there was a feast of the Jews.
There was a feast of the Jews.
And Jesus went up to Jerusalem.
Jesus went up to Jerusalem.
Now there is at Jerusalem, by the sheep market, a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue, Bethesda, having 5 porches.
5 porches.
In these lay a great multitude
of
impotent folk, of blind, halt.
What is this thing called? I want you to give me, what is this thing called? And the Bible tells us don't be a partaker of another man's sin. Y'all agree with that, right? Give me that scripture. Find it. I'm moving fast here. Be angry for sinning out, but need to be a partaker of another man's sin. Somebody find it for me, call that to me. So what is that thing? If Bishop McLeod is finna go rob somebody and shoot somebody, and then I give him the bullet to do it. I'm with him, right? I'm helping him, right? All right, 4:26. All right, Ephesians 4:26. Look what it says. Thank you, brothers. Read it.
Be ye angry, and sin not. Neither let the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. Let him that stole.
Not that one. I won't. Lay hands on no man suddenly, and neither be a partaker of another man's sin. All right, I'll get that.
1 Timothy 5:22.
1 Timothy 5 and what?
22.
22. Read it. Read it. Be angry. That 5 and 22. Lay hands. 5 and 22. What's that?
1 Timothy 5:22. Lay hands suddenly on no man.
Don't lay hands suddenly on no man.
Neither be
And
partaker
neither be a partaker
of other men's sins.
Now, Jesus now, in John chapter 5, get John chapter 5. Keep reading, read where you at.
Whither? Waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water.
Now, I can understand, my brothers, if you didn't understand by John chapter 9 that Jesus was working. And you say, well, he wasn't working, but the Bible proved that he was working. But what I don't understand, he didn't have to tell a man to go around and pick up his bed and walk around town all day on the Sabbath, which is violated, because now he's an accessory to it. Because now so you say, well, hearing him, he wasn't breaking Sabbath, he helped somebody else break it, because he's telling him to break it. He's going to tell us to do something that's sin? Keep reading, read.
Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie.
This is the thing I got. I got another problem. What is Jesus doing at the pool? Is he supposed to be? Now, you say what Jesus was healing for, but Jesus didn't know the man was there. Jesus is coming to the pool. Jesus could have went to that pool any day of the week. He could have went there. Now remember, according to your doctrine, because Jesus was there on the Sabbath, then we supposed to be there too. We need to open the record on the Sabbath so we can come down there, because we got to do what Jesus did, because he went to the Sabbath. He went to the synagogue on the Sabbath, so we got to go to the pool on the Sabbath. Y'all gonna be pretty busy. Y'all gonna be working because you got to go to the pool, you got to go to the cornfield, because we got to do it just because Jesus did it on Sabbath. Read what it says. Read. Come on.
And Jesus saw him lie
You saw him lie?
and knew that he had.
Now remember, all together, he ain't got no business at the pool no way according to that. So Jesus done went in the cornfield on the Sabbath. He done worked and healed a man on the Sabbath. And now Jesus is at the pool on the Sabbath. Boy, he was doing some traveling on the Sabbath and violating everything that Moses said don't do.
Yes. 5 minutes.
Keep reading.
Been a long time at this case,
Uh-huh.
and said unto him,
Yes.
Wilt thou be made whole?
Uh-huh.
The impotent man answered him,
Uh-huh.
Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled
Uh-huh.
to put me into the pool.
Yes.
But while I am coming,
Uh-huh.
another steppeth down before me.
Uh-huh.
Jesus said unto him,
Uh-huh.
Rise,
Rise.
take up thy bed,
Take up the bed.
and walk.
Get on up. Now Jesus could have just got to heal the man and told him to get up. That would have been, that according to you, that wouldn't be breaking it. But why are you telling me to do something that you know violates the Moses law? Because I'm going to be walking around town moving furniture. Huh? Because this is violation. Now Jesus is going to be a partaker. I'm telling the man, he didn't just heal the man. He wanted them to know. Y'all think there's a problem with me healing? I want y'all to know I'm breaking it. I want you to know I'm breaking it. Because if I heal him, then you say, well, that was God healing. He said, no, I want you to know. I'm going to make it very clear. I ain't going to just heal him. I'm going to rub it in. I'm going to get that bed. And boy, I want you to show out. I want you to walk all through town. Because I want you to know something. He didn't want no excuse like you making today. That said, well, that was just a healing. He said, no, I'm going to make sure you're clear that this ain't just got to do with no healing. I want you to do something that ain't got nothing to do with no healing. Picking up no bed ain't got nothing to do with no healing. He was going against what Moses had said.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So he's a partaker. Keep reading. Look what it says.
And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed,
Took up his bed.
and walked.
And walked.
And on the same day,
He want to make it clear. He walked around with a bed on the Sabbath. On the bed on the Sabbath. Read.
was the Sabbath.
What's the Sabbath?
The Jews therefore said unto him, that was cured,
Yeah.
it is the Sabbath day.
It's the Sabbath.
It is not lawful for thee to carry thy
They ain't
bed.
said nothing about the healing. They know this was right. They ain't said nothing about lawful for you to be healed. Jesus wanted them to know he was great. It is the Sabbath day. It's not lawful for you to walk around your bed. Now, if you're telling me today that it's okay for you to get your bed and walk around with a hanger, and you still keeping the Sabbath law according to Moses, you tell me something wrong. You know it. You know good well Moses didn't tell them that it was all right to go around in no bed. If Moses didn't tell, if it wasn't all right for them to go get something to eat, you know good well it wasn't all right for them to walk around with a bed in downtown. Yes, sir. Now he don't even want them to go get no grocery, but Jesus gonna tell them to walk around with a bed. I know him in the book. It's in the book.
Yes, sir.
Read.
He answered them, he that made me whole,
The one that made me whole.
the same said
The
unto
same said to me.
take up thy
He the
bed,
one got me out here breaking the law. He the one got me out here with this bed. And because he doesn't heal me, I don't want to go against him. So that's why I'm out here with this bed.
2 minutes.
So I'll tell you what I want you to do, brothers. Our Sabbath brothers. I want y'all to take that bed up and start walking with it. Very clear? I think the point is made clear. It's clear. I'm not walking downtown with a bed. In the cornfield, eating corn. All the things that Moses said don't do. He didn't have to just, why don't you just heal him and let him go home? No, pick up your bed and walk through town. Let everybody know that you're breaking it. Why? Because I'm the Sabbath. And when you get in me, you get a rest. It's fulfilled in me. How did Jesus got the man walking around town? Look at all the stuff Jesus did say. On the pool, in the cornfield, got a man walking around. Lord, have mercy. Brothers, I'm in trouble here. All right, brothers, I'm done. Amen. This is the rebuttal against what I said, and I'll rebuttal back against you all. About 15 minutes. Right, you need the mic in? Got a mic already?
Where we started? What's the one you read in John 8? Or was it John 9?
John 9.
John 9 what again?
9 and 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So, now, that going into, I guess we gotta go with the same scriptures again. 'Cause I just explained everything, and it's like everything went all back over your head again. Now, according to, let's get Exodus. Exodus 20 and 8. Matter of fact, let me see, Leviticus 23. Hold that, just in case. Let me get it. Let's see, 53. 13 something. Yeah, just give me Exodus 20. I ain't gonna keep it. Give me Exodus 20. Yes, 20 and 8.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
Labor and do all thy work.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle,
Now what?
nor thy cattle,
So cattle can work, right? Because you'll put cattle to work, like in a field, right?
nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
Okay. Now go to 18 and 20. No, yeah, go to 18 and 20.
Exodus chapter 18 and verse 20. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work,
And the what?
and the work that they must do.
Who else wanna walk with me? That's the work. You just said no work. Now he's saying teach them the commandments so you can see the work that they must do. Go to James. James 2. 24.
James chapter 2 verse 24. Ye see then how that by works,
By what?
by works a man is justified, and not by faith only.
So in these works, is it talking about, matter of fact, I'm gonna keep going. I asked the question later. Romans 2? That was it. What it was? No.
James.
2 and 20.
James chapter 2 verse 24. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only.
So, in order to be justified, you have to be justified in your works. So let's go back to John. What you said it was again? It was 8.
John chapter 9.
You said it was 9?
Yeah. He said Christ worked. So he was in sin. John chapter 9, verse 3. Jesus answered, neither have
Oh, start from the top. Start from the top.
Verse 1. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made.
It says the works of God, right? Not the works of Jesus. The works of God, right?
Should be made manifest in him.
So that's only going into the works is what he was healing. Verse 4. Go ahead.
I must work the works of him that sent me.
Read it again.
I must work the works of him that sent me, while it is day, like day, and night coming, when no man can work.
So it's more than one definition of work. Laborers' works that you must do, we all go to work. We all have jobs that's considered laborers' works. Now, it's serve our work. Now, when you come in here, let's say that this place needed to touch up and clean. How I was just going into in Matthew 12, how the priests, they had to clean the temple, but they were still considered blameless. That was considered work. I just went over this, but they was considered blameless because it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath day. What's good? The Lord's work. It's always lawful to do the Lord's work on the Sabbath. That's not the same as you know I'm going to go to work today and get 8 hours. That's not what Christ was doing. He was healing. That's his Father's work. Get John 7.
John chapter 7 and verse 28. Then cried Jesus in the temple as he taught, saying, Ye both know me, and ye know... And
7 and 28. I'm sorry. John 7 and 28.
John chapter 7, verse 28. Then cried Jesus in the temple as he taught, saying, Ye both know me, and ye know. Is that right? Oh, 8. Sorry about that. John chapter 8, verse 28. Then said Jesus unto them, When ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things.
Okay, now go to chapter 7 and verse 16.
Chapter 7 and verse 16. Jesus answers them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me.
Who sent him?
God. Go ahead.
If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself.
So what's the doctrine that Christ was teaching? He was teaching what God sent him. He said, I don't speak nothing of myself. Proverbs 4 and 2, and Malachi 3 and 6. So he said, my doctrine is not mine, but him that sent me, which is the Father. So he said, I speak nothing of myself, but of him that sent me. Proverbs 4 and 2.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 2. For I give you good doctrine.
I give you good doctrine. That's the same thing Christ has said. It says, it said, my doctrine is not mine, but him that sent me. So, precept upon precept, let's find out what the doctrine is.
For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law.
So, what is the doctrine?
My law.
So, the doctrine is his law. Now, let's go to Romans 2. No, in fact, go back to John 7. Go back to John 7. No. No, we're gonna read that again. Then we're gonna go back to it.
Gonna read the same one?
John.
Chapter 7.
Yeah. So it says,
John chapter 7,
I give you good doctrine, forsake not my laws. Yes.
John chapter 7, verse 16. Jesus answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will,
If anybody will do his will, what is his will? What is his will?
Psalms chapter 148.
Now get the one in Romans. Yeah. Let's find out what is the will. 2 and 18.
Romans chapter 2 and verse 18. And knowest his will, and approvest the things that are more excellent.
So, to know his will, you have to prove it's more excellent. How do you do that?
Being instructed out of the law.
Being instructed where?
Out of the law.
That's how you do his will. Like give me the one in Psalms. This precept upon precept. It's not just one scripture. It's precept upon precept. And then we'll get Malachi. Matter of fact, I still want to read that scripture because I don't want them to lose the thought. 'Cause I'm taking it longer.
Not 40 minutes.
Psalms chapter 40 and verse 8.
So in Romans 2 it says his will be instructed out of the law. That's how you do the will. Let's see what David says. David was a man of God's heart, right? Let's see what David says his will is.
Psalms chapter 40 and verse 8. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart.
That's why when you read in Matthew, it says that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. His will is going to be done on earth. What that is his law. Now, go to, now read that one more time so we get a thought. John 7.
John chapter 7 verse 16. Jesus answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself.
Malachi 3:6.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not.
Now, in the New Testament, you do.
I change not.
Well, maybe if you read a little deeper, it say you do change.
I change not.
God does not change. And what Christ was speaking was given to him by his Father. Now go to Hebrews 13 and 8, 13 and 7, 13 and 8.
Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8. Jesus Christ the same yesterday and today and forever.
So that's saying the same thing. He's the same today, yesterday, and forever. 1 Peter 2 and 21.
1 Peter chapter 2 verse 21.
Because one thing you would not find a scripture of Christ telling you do not keep the Sabbath or break any law. And we're going to get back to
2 minutes.
Go ahead.
For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example.
Leaving us a what?
An example that ye should follow his steps.
So Christ kept the Sabbath, so we should follow his steps.
Who did no sin.
So he did not sin, but he kept the Sabbath. Now, give me the Matthew 5. 2 minutes, matter of fact. Give me yeah, give Matthew 5. I gotta do it real quick.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the
So
law
he said, don't think I come to destroy the law
or the prophets.
or the prophets.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
I came to fulfill. Fulfill. If you say I did not come to destroy the law, but I come to fulfill, why do you say I didn't come to destroy, but I come to fulfill?
What did he come to fulfill? Got that loop. Precept upon precept. It explains, the Bible explains itself. I don't have to sit up here. The Bible explains itself. I can give you the sense. Like Nehemiah 8 and 8, they gave them the sense. Let the Bible talk.
So let's find out what he,
24, 44.
Luke chapter 24, verse 44.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto them, These are the words which I spake unto you, while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled,
All things must be fulfilled. But what's he talking about?
which were written in the law of Moses,
So in Moses chapter 18, it was talking about that he was going to be born of his brethren.
and in the prophets,
And the prophets, Zechariah, these brothers spoke about Christ. He's going to be from the tribe of Judah.
and in the Psalms.
And Psalms, David talked about him being hung and his garment being took away from him. That's what he came to fulfill.
now go back to, 5:17.
Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 17. Think not,
Right, got time.
All right. So they say because Jesus went to the synagogue on the Sabbath, that we supposed to go there too. Just because he went. He went to the pool. They walked on the water. Turned water to wine. He didn't make a doctrine out of it and tell you gotta go nowhere on the Sabbath. But even in the Old Testament, they didn't have to tell you that to go nowhere. They told you to go to bed. Keep dealing with that word fulfilled. Is Jesus going to be born again by the Virgin Mary? Huh? No. Get back to chapter 5 and 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law until all be fulfilled. 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 Until all be fulfilled. In Matthew chapter 1, now, and 22, now all this was fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, when Jesus was born, that was fulfilled. He ain't been going to be born again. The Sabbath was fulfilled because now Jesus becomes the rest and we're in him. Now, what I do want to show you, I want to show you how God looked at the Sabbath and what you're supposed to do on the Sabbath. If you keeping it for real. Numbers chapter 15 and 32. Watch this. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathered sticks, brought him to Moses and Aaron, and said to all the congregation, and they didn't call him. He kept picking up sticks on the Sabbath day, and they put him in a ward because it was not declared what should be done with it. They didn't know what to do with it because they had been picking up sticks. Read verse 35.
And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be surely put to death.
Kill him for picking sticks. That's it. Kill him. That's how strict the law was. Kill him. But yet Jesus telling the man to walk around with his bed up. Now this is God who's saying this in the Old Testament. Kill him for picking up sticks because he's violating the Sabbath. But then Jesus let a man go around town with a bed. But he killed this other guy in the Old Testament because it does no longer apply. So one over here gonna pick up a few twigs in his yard. They say put him in the ward, kill him. And then Jesus come back and said, now you're gonna walk around town with your bed everywhere. Why? Because it ain't in effect no more. Now listen, I want to see this where they got this from. Go back to that. Read, go to 1532 again. Look what it says. Read.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they found him gathering sticks, brought him unto Moses and Aaron, and to all the congregation. And they put him in ward, because it was not declared what should be done to him. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be sure.
The Lord told Moses, the man
shall be surely.
Are we still with the same Lord? Because he told one man, kill him for picking up sticks. Then come back and tell the other man, we'll walk around with your man all around town. Kill one man for picking the sticks, then tell the other one, y'all go get some corn. The law cannot still be in effect as it was in the Old Testament. Why? Because it's fulfilled when Jesus came. Now you got up talking about the works of Jesus, this kind of work. Now you done went from him not doing no work. Now he did a different kind of work. At least we got him working. Leviticus 23:3, what it says. 23:3, what it says. Leviticus 23:3, what does it say? What does it say? Leviticus 23:3.
6 days shall work be done.
6 days shall work be done.
But the seventh
The Sabbath
is the Sabbath
is the Sabbath
of rest.
Of rest.
And holy
A
convocation.
holy convocation.
Ye shall do no work.
No
therein.
work. I don't care what kind it is. You said he did one kind. He said you shall do no work. No means no. No work. Now you got a problem. He said he wasn't working. Now when you got him working, you got to find him. The Bible says you shall do no manner of work. No manner. No manner. Read.
It is the Sabbath of
It's
the
the
Lord.
Sabbath of the Lord.
And all your dwellings.
And all your dwelling. All right? Where's the Sabbath at? In your dwelling, not in the synagogue. The Sabbath is in your dwelling, not in my house. You stay home and go to bed. That's where the Sabbath is. Exodus 12 and 15. Exodus 12 and 15. 12 chapter 15 verse.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread.
7 days shall you eat unleavened bread.
Even the first day.
Even the first day.
Ye shall put away leaven out of your house.
You shall put away leaven out of your house.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. And in the seventh day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work.
Now see, he said types of work. One said don't do no work. Then he said there was different types. But this was a type of work and this was a type of work. But Jesus said don't do no manner. So even if you say one work is this kind of work and one is another kind of work, one is a spiritual work, one is the work of God, he said don't do no manner of work. So no kind, I don't care what kind you call it, he said don't do it.
That's in the book.
Now, when you go over to the book of Romans, very clear, the book of Romans, 14th chapter. And I'd like to invite these brothers to come back and talk about the meat, unless they want to talk about it tonight. And he asked about what time it is. All right, give me Romans 14th chapter. All right, look what it says. How many minutes I got? What's it? 8? All right, 14th chapter, Romans, first verse. What is that?
Him that is weak in the faith.
He that is weak, he's weak in the faith.
Receive ye,
Receive ye.
but not to doubtful disputations. For one believeth
One believeth,
that he may eat all things.
he may eat all things.
Another
Who
who is weak,
is weak?
eateth herbs.
Now he called him weak, eateth herbs.
Let not him that eateth despises him that eateth not.
Read.
And let not him that eateth not judge him that eateth. For God hath received him. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth.
Yes.
Yea, he shall be holden up. For God is able to
Wait. Where are you at?
Verse 4.
I want you to get this again. Get verse 5.
One man esteemeth one day above another.
One man esteeming one day above another.
Another esteemeth
Another man esteeming.
every day alike.
Jesus now is not worried about what days now. One man put one day above the other. One man say every day is the same. What he says.
Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind.
That's your own mind, man. And let me tell you how Jesus dealt with the law of Moses in the book of Acts chapter 15. Acts the 15th chapter and the first verse.
And certain men came down from Judea,
Came down from Judea,
taught the brethren,
taught the brother,
and said,
except
ye be
you
circumcised
be circumcised
after the manner of Moses,
after the manner of Moses,
ye cannot be saved.
you can't be saved. Unless you're circumcised like Moses, you can't be saved. Read.
Where therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension
Yes.
and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question.
What were they asking? What were they asking?
About circumcision.
And certain men taught, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, you cannot be saved. All right, read. What verse you on?
Verse 3 now.
Read.
And being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles.
Yes.
And they caused great joy unto all the brethren. And when they were come to Jerusalem,
Yes.
they were received of the church and of the apostles and elders. And they declared all things that God had done with them. But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees, which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them.
Wait, we got two topics now. To circumcise them, what? Come on.
And to command them
And to command them
to keep the law
to keep the law
of Moses.
Moses. Read.
And the apostles and elders
And the apostles and elders?
came together for to consider of this matter.
Yes.
And when there had been much disputed, Peter rose up and said unto them,
Yes.
Men and brethren,
Yes.
ye know how that a good while ago God made choice among us, that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe.
Yes.
And God, which knoweth the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Holy Ghost, even as he did unto us, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. Now therefore, why tempt ye God?
Why tempt ye God? You're tempting God. How? How you gonna tempt God?
To put a yoke
To
upon
put a yoke. What yoke is he talking about? What was the yoke? Circumcision in the law of Moses. Now go back to Matthew chapter 11 and 28. Now you understand what Jesus said before he went in that cornfield. Look at Matthew 11, 28.
Yes, sir.
And they were aware of this, that Jesus had talked about the yoke. Look what he said. That's why they used why put ye a yoke, because they remembered what Jesus said before they went in that field. Look at it, read.
Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you.
In order to put his yoke on you, you got to take the other yoke off.
Yes, sir.
You can't have two yokes on your neck at the same time. You got to take the yoke of the law off, and you're going to put the yoke of Christ on. He asked them in the 15th chapter, why tempt you the Lord by putting the yoke of the law on them? Come on, what's around your neck? That's the book. I know them white folk put a lot around our neck, nooses and everything, but y'all putting something else around our neck that's worse than a noose. You got the law around it.
Yeah. Come on.
Take that yoke. He said, take my yoke upon you. Read.
And learn of me.
And he's telling you, he's talking about teaching and knowledge. My yoke is what you're taught. You were taught something that's got a yoke around your neck. That's why I said, why tempt you the Lord by putting this yoke on your neck? That's a yoke. And then Jesus, after he said, take my yoke on me, he was telling them, take that yoke you got off on the law and put my yoke on you. Now you got something. Read.
For I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your
Now
souls.
what you going to say?
My yoke is easy, and my burden is light.
Read.
At that time, Jesus went on the
At
Sabbath.
that time, he went into the Sabbath. Why? Because he done took the yoke of the law.
Yes.
And I ain't got to wear that yoke no more. Let's go get some corn, boy. Let's eat. Pharisees still got the yoke on. But they ain't got it on. Take my yoke. Now, my question is this. If you got a yoke, you can't put two yokes on the same time because your neck ain't big enough. If you got the yoke of Christ on, you have to take one off. Look what he says here. And this was his conclusion. In verse 22, 15 and 22, look what it said. Acts 15, 22, what it said.
Then pleased it the apostles and
Then
elders
pleasing the apostles and elders
with the whole church
with the whole church.
to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch.
Yes.
With Paul and Barnabas, namely.
Yes.
Judas, surnamed Barnabas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren.
Yes.
And they wrote letters by them after this manner. The apostles and elders and brethren send greetings unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch and Syria and Sicilia. For as much as we have heard that certain which went out from us have troubled you with words, subverting your souls, saying, ye must be circumcised and keep the law.
They got two things. They messing up your soul, Ron, and telling folks that you got to be circumcised and keep the law. You got to watch how you deal with that. You got to watch how you deal with that. We're not saying that we're lawless. We're just saying that that law has been fulfilled. And that law ain't there. That law, that old law has been fulfilled in Christ. That's what we're saying. And apparently, hallelujah, Jesus felt the same way. Because the Old Testament, one man got in trouble for sticks. New Testament carried the bed. Old Testament, one died for sticks. New Testament, one in the cornfield. Old Testament, getting in trouble for sticks. New Testament, the blind man healed. How many more minutes I got? That's it, 30 seconds. All right, we're going into our question and answering. They write me 10 questions, I'm writing them 10 questions. No question now, and then y'all will be writing your questions while we write ours. All right, so you're writing 10, I'm writing 10, and they're writing 10. And you can break during this time. We'll take 15 minutes.